All right, today we're going to talk about a really powerful and, let's be honest, kind of counterintuitive technique for handling tough emotions. It's called emotion exposure, and it's all about learning how to face your feelings head on, not so they can overwhelm you, but so you can finally actually master them. So let's just start with a super basic question, something we all do. Why do we avoid things that make us feel bad? Why do we dodge that party we're nervous about or that conversation we don't want to have? What's the deal with that?
Well, the answer is frustratingly simple. It's because in the short term, it works. You get immediate relief. If you're anxious about a party, well, staying home makes that anxiety vanish, just like that. But, and this is the real kicker, that quick fix is secretly setting you up for a much bigger problem down the road.
In that bigger problem, it has a name. It's called the emotional avoidance trap. And it's this nasty little cycle where avoiding your feelings, it actually makes them stronger over time. It shrinks your world piece by piece, and it keeps you completely stuck.
Yeah, this is the logic that powers the whole trap. See, if you're terrified of having a panic attack on the subway and you always avoid the subway, you never get the chance to learn that you can handle the feeling. You never prove to yourself that the world doesn't end. Your fear never gets fact-checked, so it just grows and grows. That's the trap.
So, how in the world do you get out of a trap like that? Well, that's where emotion exposure comes in. This isn't about just getting rid of your feelings. It's about building a brand new skill set for dealing with them.
So what is it, really? Think of it like this. Emotion exposure is a series of targeted exercises. The entire point is to intentionally bring on those strong feelings. Yep, the very ones you've been avoiding, so you have a chance to practice managing them. It's like a gym for your emotions. You're building up those muscles. You can even think about it like building a house. You lay the foundation by understanding your emotions. Then you put up the walls with skills like mindfulness. Well, emotion exposure, that's the roof. It's the final piece that brings everything together and puts all those other tools to the ultimate test. Oh, I absolutely love this analogy. Can you imagine trying to learn how to ride a bike just by reading a book about it? No way. You've got to get on the bike, right? You have to feel wobbly, you have to almost fall, you have to practice. It is the exact same thing with your emotions. You can't just think your way out of anxiety. You have to get on the emotional bike and practice riding that wave. Okay, so what does this practice actually look like? Well, the cool thing is, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. There are a few different ways you can get on that bike, and it really depends on what you're working with. We can break the practice down into three main types. There's confronting real-life situations, there's facing internal thoughts and memories, and there's even tackling the physical feelings themselves. First up, you've got situation-based exposure. This is probably the one you guess first. It's pretty straightforward. You deliberately go into a situation that you know triggers you. So for that person who's afraid of having a panic attack on the subway, the practice is, well, to go take a ride on the subway. Then you have imaginal exposure. Now, this is for the fears that live inside your head, the worries, the what-ifs, the painful memories. So for someone with OCD who's terrified their house might burn down, the practice might be to sit quietly and vividly imagine walking away without triple-checking the stove. You're facing the scary thought itself, not just the action. And finally, there's a really interesting one, physical sensation exposure. This one gets right at the bodily feelings that come with our emotions. Let's say social anxiety makes your heart pound. An exercise could be to intentionally run up a flight of stairs to get your heart racing right before you walk into a social situation. This teaches your brain that the racing heart itself isn't the real danger. Okay, so you're doing all this stuff, you're making yourself uncomfortable. What is actually happening here? Why does this work? Well, it's not just about toughing it out. What you're doing is fundamentally rewiring your brain's automatic response to these triggers. Now this right here, is probably the most important and most counterintuitive part of the whole thing. When you're doing this, the goal is not to feel better immediately. In fact, you'll probably feel worse for a minute. The real goal is to learn something new. It's to collect new data that proves your old fears were wrong. And here's what that rewiring looks like. For someone with depression, the brain's default setting, the old connection, might be, if I go out, it's just gonna suck, I'll be tired and sad. But by repeatedly doing it anyway, by going out, you give your brain a chance to form a new connection. Oh, wait a minute. That was actually okay. That felt kind of good. You are literally carving out a new path in your brain. And that leads to this crucial point. The goal is not to become some fearless robot. It's to completely change your relationship with fear. It's like one therapist said, it's not about being able to do things without fear. It's all about how you respond to that fear when it shows up. It's about realizing, okay, I feel this and I can handle it. It doesn't own me. Now, you don't have to just dive headfirst into your biggest fear. In fact, you shouldn't. The whole process is gradual, and that's where this amazing tool comes in, the emotion exposure hierarchy. It's basically a ladder for your fears. You list out the situations you avoid, you rate them from 0 to 10 on how much they freak you out, and then you start your practice at the bottom with the easy stuff. You climb the ladder one rung at a time as you build confidence.
So, to wrap things up, let's just boil this all down. What are the absolute key things you need to remember to make this practice actually stick and create real, lasting change in your life?
Here are 4 big ones. Number 1, practice, practice, practice. Seriously, it's a skill and repetition is everything. 2, expect setbacks. You're going to have tough days. That's not failure, it's just part of learning. 3, make it a routine. Actually schedule it in your calendar. And 4, the golden rule that sums it all up, avoid avoidance. When you feel that urge to run, lean in instead.
And that really brings us to our final thought. This whole idea, it's so much more than just a coping mechanism. It's a pathway to self-discovery. So we'll just leave you with this question to chew on. What could you learn about yourself? What strengths could you find? What parts of your life could you get back if you just decided to stop running from your emotions?